So I want you guys to make a very, very warm welcome as we introduce to the stage our three panelists for that discussion. We have the co-host of Native Land Pod. First up, Andrew Gillum. Y'all can do better than that. Come on, come on. There we go.
Because I'm out here popping mine. The way these diamonds hitting, damn near going blind.
Next to the stage, we have the lovely Tiffany Cross.
Lose me, you know that out his mind. Tell her make a hit, she.
And last but certainly not least, my girl, Angela Rye. Okay. Now we twinning.
Outside running, I'ma shine all summer. Bad, I know that every real fine. Man, I get it from my mother. I'm a demon out. Yeah, I've been.
Welcome home, y'all. Welcome home, y'all. See, that's how we know y'all listen to the podcast. When we say welcome home, y'all, you got to say it back. Welcome home, y'all.
Welcome home.
That's better. We know you've had a full day. We are so excited to be here with you all this evening in New York. Andrew Gillum and Tiffany Cross.
Yes.
How y'all doing?
Welcome home, y'all. Thank y'all for coming out to hear us. We're so nice. Thank you. Yes. How many Native Land Pod listeners out there?
All
Got a
right
couple?
now. All right now.
Have y'all enjoyed the day so far? Been pretty good? Well, we're gonna try not to overload you with politics, but if anybody's paying attention, if you're aware, if you're breathing, you realize that politics isn't just something over there, that it's affecting us every single day. Every decision that's being made in Washington and in state capitals and city halls around the country weigh on our quality of life and how we get to live our lives. So we hope to share with you today some of our thoughts on how we may be able to live our lives to the fullest so that we're not just finding ourselves in a state of survival, but rather in a state of thriving. Is that all right?
Yes, sir, it
More to come.
is. We'll be your call and response. So on that, one of the questions that we got back from this audience, we got questions submitted earlier today. Thank you all so much. We hate we didn't get your names and where you're from, but if you recognize the question, just wave at us so we know it came from y'all. The first question we got that we thought would be a great starting off point for us today is, one moment, just so y'all can follow along. We do read as you go. So the first question is, there's been a lot of conversation lately about who gets to tell our stories. How do you all navigate that tension when you see outsiders profiting from or misusing Black narratives? Story as old as time, Tiffany Cross. Yep, we can go to you. It's for all of us.
Well, I know on a lot of legacy media, I don't think a lot of us are tuning in anymore. A lot of people are getting their information off social media, off outlets like TikTok, and there's some danger to that. And so when we see people who have an intentional effort to lead us with misinformation and disinformation, we have a responsibility on Native Land Pod to talk about things that are happening that are getting overlooked. Just this week, the federal government went into a neighborhood under the guise of looking for undocumented immigrants that has less than 2% of a Latino population in Chicago and disappeared Black people. They were bursting in their homes, zip-tying children. You didn't see one story about that on legacy media. Those are the types of stories that we talk about on Native Land Pod. It can be overwhelming when you don't hear about these stories, and so you just check out. But that is what they're depending on, for us to get to flood the zone with chaos until chaos feels normal, until quiet feels uncomfortable and eerie. But at Native Land Pod, we break it down for you, we make it accessible, we make it digestible, to not only tell you what's going on, but to charge you with a call to action where you can combat us being at war and them making Black folks the face of the enemy by our own federal government.
So first of all, y'all just heard the voice of Tiffany Cross, who I know some of us remember from MSNBC when she had her show there. But her example there, similar to what we saw with Joy Reid, is that corporate America at any point in time can decide when they want to silence us. And this is what's so important about you all being here as creatives in this space. A lot of times it's difficult for politicians to change culture. It's difficult for politicians, and I say this as somebody who ran for the governor of Florida and came within 0.3% of winning that race out of 8 million, 12 million votes cast in the state of Florida. That as much truth as I was speaking and as much as of an agenda I wanted to have for all of our community, but particularly for the black community, because when we thrive, everybody else thrives. When America gets a cold, y'all already know, we get COVID, long COVID, right? And so creatives, people like you all who get to tell stories in intriguing ways and in ways that people can relate to, you approach things that my brain cannot really process because I'm so technical in so many ways, except your expanded boundaries allow you to get at things in a much more compelling way. So the stories that we tell, and that I believe are important, we need your help in repurposing those stories, giving it more body, more contours, so that the person who thinks that they don't want to hear a thing about politics doesn't realize at the end of the day that they're hearing politics because you've put your spin on it, right? If we don't start to transform more people into caring about these things, y'all, we'll never, ever, ever win this race. And we've got to win this race because the ancestors did too much, laid down too much, sacrificed too much for a future that they knew they would never inherit. Yeah. We're their wildest dreams.
You know, I want to double down here. First, I want to shout out Imani from CultureCon. If y'all can give it up for Imani, she's done amazing work. And I'm saying that because as I sit here looking at my sister, my brother, Tiffany and Andrew, there's a sign on the wall right here that says, "We are culture." And because we are culture, we have always defined culture. We've given birth to this culture. We created the math, the science that they use to this day, fashion, the arts, hip-hop. We are hip-hop. We are culture. So of course they want to try to steal it. Of course they want to try to silence it. Of course they want to have our little flair and pizzazz. Of course they want to have, can we still say swag? Can we still say swag? Okay, a little swag, right? So like, of course that is what they want to do. But this convening, this gathering of black folks is an act of resilience. It is an act of defiance. It is an act of resistance. It is an act of rebellion to say, we are culture. We've been culture. We will always be culture. So that's what I think we need to lean into right now. So we have some questions. Tiffany, I'm going to come to you first. The one question from the audience is, sometimes people say representation matters, but not all representation is powerful or for us. How do you decide which stories or perspectives are worth platforming on Native Land Pod?
Oh, I like that. Well, luckily we all have different perspectives on what should and should not be platformed. Our key importance, though, is what people want to know as well as what people need to know. And there are a lot of outlets that some of y'all might follow that present as being black outlets, but sometimes they're parroting conservative talking points. Sometimes these Instagram and TikTok outlets that are entertainment news, a lot of the things they post are coming directly from the GOP, directly from right-wing MAGA extremists, and I see a lot of people sharing them. We have to share responsibly. So we want to platform voices and stories that get overlooked, like Angela said. And what I know is we are 14% of the U.S. population. And where we go, the entire world follows. So what we have to put forth is uniquely important. And I hope that for the people who don't listen to Native Land Pod, that you start, because we live in service to you. We live in service to black liberation, because when black people win, everybody wins. So you can catch episodes of Native Land Pod on iHeart Radio, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube every Thursday, because every week we show up to inform you, give you context, and give you a call to action.
Tiff, that was an excellent answer. Andrew, I'm going to go to your question. Andrew cannot see. Everybody say, find your glasses, Andrew. He's trying to get them discreetly right now.
I'm over here discreetly like, I can't see.
Everybody can see him going like this. Andrew, we know you can. Oh, look. Bless your heart, Lolo. Shout out our producer, Lolo, everybody. Poor Lolo. Oh, this question's for me, Andrew. You want to ask me? No. Okay, I'm going to ask you. This question is for you. What does solidarity within the black creative and political community look like to you right now? What kind of collaboration do we need more of, Andrew Gillum?
I mean, when I think of collaboration, I think about I think about us working together to tell stories that get resonance based off of, frankly, who is the person telling the story. So I know I'm very clear about the fact that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, that Tiffany may not be everybody's cup of tea, that Angela may not be everybody's cup of tea. We together may communicate a compelling story, but it doesn't break through to the masses in the way that we need it to. So one of the challenges I think I would make to this audience, it would be that if we can get you all, and I'm going to assume that most of you stay pretty aware, but if we can get you all to, frankly, lean on some of the trusted voices, some of the topics that we might platform, maybe you take those and you repurpose them in your own voice and get them out there so that we can get greater buy-in, greater spread, greater information sharing. When I ran for governor of Florida, the entire press corps, which are the people who write about or talk about on television, the race, the people who largely shape the questions that are asked and decide what matters and what doesn't matter. And the entire state of Florida, the third largest state in all of America, there was not one single black political journalist in Florida. So because I got brothers who went to jail, who served time for selling drugs, accused of selling drugs, reporters would ask me questions and hold me responsible for every single step of the actions that they may have taken, decisions that they may have made. You had white politicians whose fathers were benefiting from state contracting, who were making money hand over fist off of votes that their brothers, sisters, daughters, sons had taken in one legislature or another, and then they were benefiting from it financially. But those issues were never coming up. It seemed to me that their actions, no matter how illegal or inappropriate or unethical I thought they were, white people who, for some reason, were given grace. White was right. And if they were doing these actions, it must be okay. But if we were doing it, something nefarious, illegal, under the table, untoward took place. And it, for me, would have just been so much better to be able to look out at an audience of black journalists or journalists of color or journalists with diversified experiences who knows what it means to grow up in a poor neighborhood and have relatives who went to jail, but also some who went to college and graduated, and those who gave back, maybe not in money directly to the institution, but by paying the tuition for their nephews and nieces as a way of giving back to the institution. So I would just say it's helpful to have voices in this space with diverse experience. I like the term representation matters, but more than representation matters, diversified experiences matter. Because you oftentimes, and they oftentimes experience the world through their lens. And oftentimes that lens bears no resemblance to our experiences. And so we need more of us and more of those spaces. The collaboration that I think needs to take place is we've got to show up in those environments so that when our people are on the line and they're the targets, that we've got people who can rationalize, reason, and explain those narratives in ways that our people can understand.
Okay, Angela, question for you. CultureCon brings together a lot of creative people who care about impact, but may not see themselves as political. Some of y'all may not see yourselves as political. What would you say to folks who may be in this room who thinks politics isn't really their lane, or they don't do politics, or maybe some of y'all do politics, but you're just tired?
So I love this question because this gives me an opportunity to focus group the audience. That's a way for us to poll you. How many of you all think that we all deserve a safe place to lay our head at night, somewhere to live? Okay. How many of you all believe that we all deserve to eat, to make sure that our family members can eat, and we can eat good food that is healthy for us? Raise your hands. Okay. How many of you all believe that we should have access to, relatively easily, clean drinking water? Raise your hands. How many of you all believe that we should be able to see a doctor, have access to health care, be able to go to an emergency room, get taken care of proactively to ensure we can live? Raise your hands. How many of you all believe that black people deserve reparations? Raise your hands. Okay. All of that is political. There is not a single one of us in this room that can afford to have our basic needs met in this country and not be political. Your very existence is political. There is a constitution that would have declared you 3/5 of a human being if you didn't reclaim your full humanity. Our existence is political. We don't have any choice but to be involved in the political process. Why? Because if you opt to sit out, you see what these fools is doing. I know this ain't partisan, but I am. They will shut down the government on your ass. They will send your people home who said, the only way for me to thrive, for me to reach the middle class, for me to take care of my kids so they can go to college, is for me to get this good government job. They're sending our people home from those good government jobs. Our existence is political. I know y'all are tired. You know how I know? I'm tired. But I don't have a choice. I know that if we want to preserve a future for upcoming generations, for future generations, this fight is ours. It's not because we chose this fight. Some of us voted in 2024 the right way. Oh, okay. That's my closing. We're political. Get involved.
So I think my question is to you, Tiffany, right? Yeah. So this question came from an audience member who said, I've been following Native Land Pod for a bit, but I'd love to know what sparked it. That's the right question? Yeah. Okay, what sparked it? So what made you all decide to start this show in the first place, and why do we think it's necessary?
So one of the beautiful things I love about being a co-host of Native Land Pod is our friendship authentically and organically stretches 2 decades. Okay, when I say 2 decades, y'all supposed to go, what? 2 decades? You guys were alive 2 decades ago? I thought you were like 20-something. Anywho.
We old, y'all. We real old.
We've known each other organically for more than 20 years. And so the conversations that you hear are the conversations you would hear whether there were cameras rolling or not, whether there was an audience before us or not. These are the conversations we have over dinner. And so when Angela called and said, hey, I want to do this podcast and I want you and Andrew to do it with me, it was an immediate yes. The call came months after my own show on MSNBC was canceled. And at the time, it was, sure, I'll do it. But looking back, I cannot imagine during the grave dangers that we are facing right now, not having this platform. This is where we get to cry, where we get to express our righteous anger right now, where we get to look to each other to be inspired. I'll take a brief shameless promo and just say we covered the Congressional Black Caucus Annual Legislative Conference. Thank you. I don't know if you guys remember, Angela gave an amazing acceptance speech. She got the Chairman's Award. I really encourage you, please go back and watch that speech, and you will see that we get goosebumps from each other. I learned from Andrew. I learned from Angela. We fight. If y'all listen, y'all have heard us fight before. We yell, we scream. We fight like siblings. And so it really came together to answer the call for a time such as this. But I want y'all to hear from my co-host as well, because each of us had a calling and each of us brought something different to the platform. For me, my intention is always to inform, to break down things. When you hear things like the DLJ or the CBO, not everybody knows what those things mean, and you can feel like an outsider listening to political conversations, listening to a white-run media landscape talk about politics in a way that seems so far removed. And I remember watching thinking, you're not talking to me, for me, or about me. We are intentional. We say welcome home because we want you all to feel like you're at home and a part of this conversation. You send in a video. You can disagree with us. We play your video. If you have a question, we'll answer it. So it was really beautiful to be a part of building a home. But Andrew, I want to know for you, what was it for you that you feel like you bring, and also who's your favorite co-host?
Well, okay, and before you get to lying to her, since she had the mic last, I want you to fold that answer into this, because I'm going to take a page from Tiff's book, which is to get to as many audience questions as possible. So your last audience question also was, if someone in the audience wants to use their platform, whether it's art, business, or content, to make change, what's one piece of advice you'd give them to start?
I would say whatever the talent is, the gift that you've been given, and sometimes we have that voice in our heads that tells us we're not enough, that we don't have as much experience or as background to do something. I would say, one, do your very best to silence that voice, or rather hear it and then ask it to take a seat. Because doubt oftentimes will continue to persist in our lives no matter how high we achieve, how many audiences we've spoken in front of, how many positions or titles we've had. That voice is always present. It's present with me right now. If my colleagues were to be honest, I'm sure they would tell you that those voices are present with them. And I would just tell you to, again, acknowledge that voice, tell it to have a seat, and you keep going. But the truth is God has granted all of us with gifts. He's given us a thing. He's given you a thing that only you can do that particular way for this particular time, this particular moment. And if you don't do that particular thing, then it will never be done. Believe that God is that intentional in your life to purpose you to have impact in your own way. And so I would simply say is, I oftentimes would find the people who were the best at the game and then compare myself to, oh, what do I need to do? In movement building, maybe the question ought to be, what can I do right now that might make something come out different, might change the outcome of a thing? Most of our greatest movements didn't start with a person believing, oh, we'll start a Montgomery bus boycott, and all of a sudden, for over a year, Black people will restrain from being on the bus, and we'll change the trajectory of the South and Black accommodations by doing this. It didn't start that way. It started by saying, I don't want to sit at the back of the bus and give my seat up to a white kid just because I happen to be Black. And that one thing then transformed to something else. So I would simply say, don't start with the goal of changing the world. Maybe the world being changed will eventually come. Start changing on your block, on your street, in your neighborhood, in your city, county, state. And see if that won't then lead to something that creates just the most incredible opening that nobody ever saw, including you. That's how God works. He takes the little things, the little people, puts them in the right places, in the right moments, in the right circumstances to blow it up so that all of us know that he's still possible, that he can take a little thing and make it a big thing. So my advice is simply start where you are, do what you can, and then make the difference.
Okay. Tiff is going to ask me this last question soon as she finds it.
Well, it's the one I just asked Andrew. No, it's about why did we come together? Like, why did Native Land come together?
Okay, so we're not answering my question.
Well,
Fine.
what was your question?
It was for those of us in this room who want to build something that has purpose.
Okay.
Answer that.
So
All right.
for those of us in this room who want to build something to have purpose, what do you think? And also, how did we come together as Native Land Pod?
Okay, well, I'm gonna start with this. To build something that has purpose, you need to be building with people you admire, people you can grow from, people you respect, people you can teach. And I'll tell you this, we might be the people you see on camera and whose voices you hear when you tune into the show, but there's an army behind us. Some of you all who listen to the show are the army, but we also have some of those army members in the audience today. And so you already saw LoLo run up here with Andrew's glasses. LoLo, stand up and wave to everybody. This is LoLo Smith, our producer, utility player. For those of you who are old enough who know who Charles Barkley is, this is our Barkley on the squad. Bree is helping us with press right now. Bree, stand up and just wave. Bree is doing our PR. And then Chloe Puchet is, if you see any thumbnail that's beautiful, any of the graphics, y'all, she is also a creator, a brilliant creator, super dope artist. Chloe Puchet right here also looks like a supermodel. But we are so thankful to our team who's here, Nick and Lauren who aren't here, our iHeart family, Lenard and Chris Morrow who helped us to create Reason Choice. Oh, sorry, Tiff always, Lenard is Charlemagne the God. Who also is one of our co-founders at Reason Choice. With the 35 seconds I have left, I will just say this. The name of the show comes from that last stanza in the last verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black national anthem, the only national anthem I will sing. And they say, James Weldon Johnson wrote, true to our God, true to our native land. And in a space where that land is being challenged on every side, our very existence is being questioned, it is more important than ever for Black folks to create safe spaces where we never question our belonging. And so to that end, we welcome you all home. Welcome home, y'all. Thank you so much.